What's going on, YouTube? It's the Hurry Up Offense back in this week previewing Week 15. It's TJ Wingard here with you as always, joined by my two fantastic co-hosts. We start with our shaman of sharp bets, JT. How the last 7 days treat you, my man?
Not too bad in regards to football. I was on the wrong side of a lot of bets, so not too happy about that. Wrong side of the Vikings game for sure. But we'll kind of get into some other games today. But yeah, we'll get right. Get it right.
Bad week just means good weeks ahead. You know, you got to balance it out. So, and I'm joined by the prophet of plus money plays, who not only is the prophet of plus money plays, but certainly feeling an engagement ring. And who knows how many pounds of stress off his shoulders that much lighter this week. Congrats, man. And how you been? I'm sure it's been an exciting 7 days for you.
Yeah, man, it's been good. I didn't play much betting wise last week, and I played the lock like always. The lock did not hit, but like you said, man, not stressed anymore. We got light shoulders. We pushing through. So I'm excited, man. It was a great week.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, hey, you know, the FanDuel commercials were like every decision is a gamble in life, you know. Right. You got on a knee and asked somebody the most important question. That's a gamble, and it paid off. So that's a big win. So cool. Well, if you're new to the show, we're going to talk about 5 games today. We're changing up the format because now we have Saturday football, but I actually want to start with a couple of small rhythm throws here. I didn't have anything necessarily planned, but I have my girlfriend in town. We've been watching Christmas movies. So y'all have any holiday traditions or any favorite holiday movies?
Holiday movies.
You're a big movie guy, JT. So
I don't like movies a whole lot. I will say I like Christmas movie. That's always good. Sure. That's just a funny one. I like that. I don't like Elf as much as other people do. I like Will Ferrell, but I hate Elf. I don't know why. I'm just not a fan.
Hot take.
Yeah, that is a hot take.
Yeah, no, I know it's a lot of people love it. Isabel, she loves it, but I'm just not a fan.
Well, when you compare Will Ferrell in that movie versus like him in The Campaign or Anchorman, it's kind of different.
It's pretty different.
Mason, what about you? Favorite holiday tradition?
As far as movies, I'll go Four Christmases. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one with Vince Vaughn. That one's a good one. Christmas with the Cranks is another one. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
There you go.
Number one choice. But yeah,
that's a good one. And I know in our area where we're from, you know, tours with like lights and stuff like that are a big deal, but I haven't done a whole lot of that this year. So been primarily movies. I think Home Alone's a little overrated. That's my hot take. But what's that movie with Seth Rogen, Anthony Mackie? 'Tis the Season. It's a really funny comedy, Christmas time. And then Die Hard. Die Hard's the best Christmas movie. So cool. Fun little talk there. But we're going to talk about 5 games today, and we're actually start with Thursday Night Football, but this is a little different than our normal segment. But if you want to see our thoughts for the entire NFL slate, check out the Picks League description or link in the description. But without further ado, let's start talking Thursday Night Football. Got the San Francisco 49ers favored by 3.5 against the Seattle Seahawks. You know, Seattle's run defense in specific, I think this is where your conversation kind of has to begin. It's been atrocious the last 3 weeks, really. And Seattle is what cost each of y'all's lock of the week last week. So, you know, I know this is probably a sore subject for y'all, but, you know, how do you think, you know, Seattle fares getting 3.5 points? JT, let me start with you.
Yeah, it's I see in some of the notes here. I kind of see it as a get right game. I know Mason might be on the same kind of side as me here. Seattle kind of let the ball drop last week, a couple weeks early. But yeah, so not a great game from them last week. 49ers, we saw basically the peak of what we're going to see out of them for the rest of the year. Jimmy G, I don't think he's coming back because if they're far enough in the playoffs by that point, they're not going to switch anything up at quarterback. And either that or they're eliminated. So I don't think we see Jimmy G. I think it's the Purdy show for the rest of the year. Like I said, we kind of saw the upper echelon kind of performance that he can put out there as far as just kind of run the offense, letting the defense do the work. I see it as a kind of get back game for the Seahawks. I think from like a betting angle here, I kind of like the Seahawks and maybe an over teaser. So tease down the total to 36.5, 37.5. And then you get the Seahawks plus 10.5. So it gives you a couple scores, you know, touchdown and a field goal. I think the Seahawks hang in a little bit better than the Bucs did. The Bucs just went, I don't know, like just fell apart, just like went straight into shambles. I don't think we see that too much again. I think the 49ers are great. I don't know what it is when I watch them. Like they completely dominated, but for me, I don't know. I'm still not as far on the bandwagon as most people and maybe as far as I should be.
No, I can understand that though. Mason, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, as far as being on that bandwagon, I feel like you have a right to say that now, especially with Jimmy G out. You got, Brock Purdy as QB. So, like, if you weren't a believer then, you're not much of a believer now. So I'm definitely on the Seahawks. I think it's a get-right game for sure. But I wasn't aware that their run D is as bad as you guys were making it out to be. And if there's one team you don't want to face against, a good running team, it's probably the 49ers. Right. So, I don't know. I like that teaser play because I already like the over in this game. So I would still lean Seahawks, I think. I just think it's a get-right game. They're playing at home. I can see a little bit of a collapse this week from the 49ers after, the show they put on last weekend. So that's just my take. But
some party mistakes, maybe. Like you're kind of banking on a guy that doesn't have a whole lot of experience, making a couple, crucial errors.
Right.
Well, I think you guys raised a lot of interesting points, and something we'll talk about pretty heavily here in this episode is there's a trend towards the under in second meetings of a season. This is the second meeting between these two sides. It was 27-7. So if you want to talk about a bounce back game, Seattle's been thinking about that one since week 2. So that's been sitting and simmering. I understand the emotional side and the divisional side of this. I totally get it. So maybe Seattle with the field goal hook, maybe that's your play here. 9.5 at home. I have a hard time thinking Seattle's going to, allow themselves to get beat by double figures here. So I like that play as well. We're talking straight up. I think I like the 49ers here. I think from the standpoint of their pass rush against Seattle's interior offensive line, I think that causes some problems. Now, granted, Geno's been, he's been pretty good. Been a little bit of a step back the last couple of weeks. This could be his kind of a exploding whale game, if you will, where he just goes bananas and, he just scorches earth. I just look at that Seattle run defense, man. Give up 244 yards. I mean, Chuba Hubbard's good. Donta Foreman's okay. The Panthers can run it, but yeah, I don't know. No Elijah Mitchell. That certainly sucks. Questionable is Christian McCaffrey. So it depends on that backfield health, I guess, for San Francisco.
No Debo.
But, say what now?
I said no Debo this week.
Yeah, obviously no Debo until probably the postseason. Sounds like his regular season's done. So from that perspective, I get where you guys are coming from. Yeah, I think I'm going to roll with San Francisco. I think they're just the better team here. 3.5's not too bad.
It's a bad matchup for the Seahawks defense.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Straight away.
I think this game, ultimately strength on strength, right? Like a DK Metcalf goes Super Saiyan here. I can totally see that. And I can see that's why the Seahawks win. Or if that San Francisco pass rush dominates, they run the ball. This game could be potentially pretty boring, but I'm just hoping it goes the way. And I hope the Seahawks keep it close because if they're moving the ball through the air, then anything's possible. So, DK Metcalf props, I think, could be a live play. Ultimately, I think the way I would bet this instead of the 3.5 is probably like a same game parlay, San Francisco money line, and then whatever Christian McCaffrey's rushing prop is, or something like that, something low fruit. Maybe even lean on my boy Brock Purdy. Hope that he puts together a pretty good game.
Who's behind McCaffrey? On who's set to start? Do we know?
Let me peep. Real quick.
I know Elijah Mitchell's still out for at least a couple more weeks. I think he's still on IR. And then CMC, what was his injury again?
He was questionable, and he was questionable going into last week too. So, Tyrion Davis-Price, the rookie from LSU, and then they have Jordan Mason after that. So,
okay, so a little shaky there, but I mean,
not the best.
He'll probably play. I mean, he's questionable. We're recording pretty early in the week. If you're questionable by now, you're probably good to go.
Right. It's probably just a week where he doesn't practice and then plays in the game on Thursday or something like that. So, like I said, he was questionable last week. So I like CMC paired with, 49ers money line as a play here. But that or the teaser, my only hesitation again with the teaser is these second meetings, they tend to lean towards the under. And we even kind of saw that with the Bills and Jets game last week where I was hot on the over at 43. I thought that was a money play, but that game plays to the under. So maybe I'd flip the teaser up to 49.5, hit under. But when you're talking about DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, all these types of, weapons in a game, I can understand why you're thinking there's a certain amount of points put up. So interesting. That'll be a fun way to start the week. And, kind of staying on that note, I love this time of the NFL season because we have Saturday football, 3 games on Saturday. So instead of talking one of the 1 o'clock games or one of the 4 o'clock games, really is what got omitted. Let's talk this 8 o'clock game on Saturday. It's Dolphins Bills. So I kind of want to start with what y'all thought of last week. I've been the prettiest Bills win, but it's a win against a good Jets team. And then you look at the Dolphins and what that offense looked like on Sunday Night Football. It was a bit of a train wreck. And really the only time this season we've been able to say that. So Mason, let me start with you. What did you think of these two teams last week? And then how does that maybe change your perception coming into this week?
Yeah, I'll start with the Bills. They played a good Jets team last week. So, and also the Bills haven't really looked right the last couple of weeks anyways. So I wasn't really too shocked there. But as far as the Dolphins, man, sheesh, dude, I picked up Tua for fantasy. 25 yards passing. 25 yards passing at halftime. So, dude, both teams really need to win here. Both teams really haven't looked great as they have been, like a month ago or so. And I looked at the weather because I was confused at why the total was only at 42 or 43, whatever.
Right. I was surprised by that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because I was going to hammer the over, but I checked the weather and it's probably going to snow. So I'll definitely back Josh Allen more than I would Tua. I think 7.5 is too many points though. So I'm leaning Dolphins plus 7.5 as my play. However, I don't know. But I don't know if Tua is going to be able to, perform well in the snow, in the cold weather. I just don't think he will. I think Josh Allen, he's more accustomed to that weather now. So I don't know. I'm liking Dolphins plus 7.5 as a safe pick.
Yeah, and weather's definitely one to monitor because also if there's winds, like as much as, I said a ton last year in the playoffs, like if Cincinnati had to go to Buffalo in the AFC Championship game, like if Cincy knocked off Kansas City, I was like, Joe Burrow, I don't think he would do well in Buffalo because of the winds and all that stuff. Tua, if I'm saying that about Joe Burrow, then it's definitely the case with Tua. As much as he's taking steps forward, that arm strength and winds 25 plus miles an hour, whatever it could potentially be, I don't know this for certain, that could be a bit of a wee-woo. And plus, once you talk snow, I'll take Josh Allen as a runner any day of the week versus Tua as a runner who's, obviously frail. So, JT, let me hear your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, just kind of recapping last week. Bills are looking shaky still. I think the turnovers have kind of gotten to Josh Allen's head a bit. He's missing throws that he usually doesn't miss. It looks like he's trying to place the ball almost. He's not just letting it rip, kind of being himself. Beginning of the year, they're blowing people out. He was just letting it fly. I had a couple of games where he played better teams, maybe some better, more opportunistic defenses that kind of sat back a little bit. Kind of like the Pat Mahomes effect that we saw last year.
Right.
A lot of higher shell coverages and just kind of threw him off a bit. But now he's reverting completely the other way. And they kept talking about all week, he's been saying he wants every drive to end in a kick, whether it's a punt, PAT, or a field goal. And that's cool, but what makes you Josh Allen and what makes you crazy good is because you make plays that nobody else can and make decisions that not everybody else even has the ability to make because it's going to be a pick for them every single time. So I don't know. I don't have as much confidence in the Bills right now just because I think Josh Allen touching the ball every play, you can't be indecisive. That's just the nature of the position. You can't be an indecisive quarterback in the NFL. And that's kind of how he looks to me. Over the last probably 3 or 4 weeks or so. And then on the Dolphins side, they looked rough last week, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of, I don't know, I think we might be seeing them, defenses kind of figure their offensive scheme out a bit. So you're seeing a lot more press, throwing off the timing. I forget who I heard talking about it, but essentially it makes sense, right? So if you press somebody at the line, even if you're throwing them off, because one press could slow them down for 0.2 seconds. The next press could slow them down for a whole second. And at just that variability in timing, whether it's a good press or a bad press or a chip to the inside, chip to the outside, whatever it is, that's enough to throw that whole offensive scheme off because Tua's making throws in tight windows that it's like a split second. And if it's not there at the perfect time, their offense struggles completely. Even with 2 speed demons on the outside, we kind of saw the struggle there. So I think the Bills are good enough on defense. With the weather being bad, I think that is completely favoring the Bills. When I first looked at this line at 7.5, I was like, dude, that's way, way too many points. That's insane. The Bills have not looked good. The Dolphins are still stacked on offense. They still got a solid defense. I'm like, what is this number at? Now that I know that it's going to be if it's going to be a snowy game and as we get closer to game time, if you know that, I got to play the Bills. I don't know where. I don't know if I still take the 7.5, but at some point I've got to play some kind of Bills, maybe a prop or two, because I don't see the Dolphins being able to move the ball in snow. Just with that, like you said, kind of the lack of arm strength, their whole offense is based on timing. Good luck. You're not going to be able to get your footing depending on how much snow, right? And then, like you said, making tackles on Josh Allen in open field when it's 30 degrees and snowing. No one wants to do that. No one wants to do that.
Well, and also I think the other point to note here is Tyreek Hill was gimpy that whole game. He had those 2 touchdowns, but he was still hobbling at the end of the game. So if he's not 100% and you're playing in snow, but again, I think the winds, even more than the snow, if there's 20 plus mile an hour winds, I'm sorry, Tua. That's about as hard as he throws the football. So I don't know about that. I think some of the other great notes there you guys talked about. It was somebody I saw talking about was Ben Solak. He did a great video on Twitter. Go check it out if you missed it. But it was talking about the press, but it was also talking about where hook zones are sitting, and they're sitting about 20 yards away from the line of scrimmage, right in the middle of the field, right where Miami's been peppering digs all season long. So they've literally taken away a hot spot essentially, and then every corner was playing with inside leverage, which. Yep. If you have a Justin Herbert and you can throw a missile to the outside of the hash, no problem. But when it's Tua trying to throw it out there, and sometimes it's a fluttering duck, that's a lot riskier of a proposition. Waddle and Hill are great. They can go get the football at the catch point, but do you really want them doing that each and every play? So I don't know. Miami's got some work to do between beating that inside, leverage, finding a way to get to that middle of the field. Maybe it's just instead of looking 15, 20 yards down the field, it's 5 to 10. Turn Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle into these yak weapons that they're certainly capable of being, maybe getting a Mike Gesicki involved. And then ultimately the run game too, right? Like they have got to be able to run the ball between the tackles, and they had some chunks plays, I guess, with Mostert, 5 to 10 yards, but I don't know if that happens against the Bills.
I think
line, man.
For them to be able to succeed, kind of what we're talking about, right? So you have to think about like true air yards, not just like air yards from the 0 to like the 10-yard line. It's like you were saying, outside the numbers, like the true air yards on like a corner route is much different than a slant. Like you can throw a corner route for 15 yards versus a slant for 15 yards. The corner route, you had to throw it 40 yards.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like, that's the issue. You can sit inside leverage and force everything just like, shorter air yards and just sit on it because Tua can't make those outside throws. So I think the way that they're going to have to kind of redesign a couple of things, one, the run game's got to be more effective just to kind of keep people off balance, but also I'm thinking they might have to get a little creative with maybe some end arounds or some wide receiver screens, kind of spread the ball out so that inside leverage really kind of screws them in angles up the sideline on like quick catch scenarios. So I don't know. That's just like me being kind of like elementary offensive coordinator. That's how I would approach it.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think that's a good point, but also, I mean, if I think Chris Collinsworth did a great job noticing on the broadcast where like linebackers are essentially sitting 20 yards away from the line of scrimmage. How do I get them back to 10 yards away? So I think the run game, working underneath those end arounds, forcing linebackers and safeties to cheat up towards the line of scrimmage, that's a must-have. So all that to say, 7.5 still a lot. I like the Bills as a teaser leg. If you get it down to 1.5, I'm on for that play. 7.5, I'd probably lean Miami. I don't think I'd go Miami money line despite great value. The Bills lost the first outing. It was a weird game in Miami. They had that. It was like week 3. They were on the sideline that was at like 115 degrees, just baking in the Miami sun. I think the Bills get back, but 7.5, that's a ton of points. So I'll go with the Bills as a teaser leg there. But hey, I think that was a great discussion. And the over-under, that's going to be another interesting thing to watch and how it correlates to weather. But now leaving our Saturday slate of games, let's jump on to the Sunday action. And man, who would have thought I'd be looking forward to a Lions-Jets game in the middle of December? I mean, what a world we live in now. So, and furthermore, I mean, you're looking at a Lions offense that's put up 25 on the board in 5 straight games. The first time they've done that since 1954 against the Jets defense. Not only is this a game I'm looking forward to, it's kind of must-see football right now. JT, let me toss it to you. What do you think about this one? Right now, it's basically a pick-em. It's Lions favored by 1 against the Jets.
Yeah, I would say if Mike White's playing, give me the Jets by a mile, dude. Like,
I'm with you. Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think it's close. The Lions are not good. Even like the game last week, everything had to go right for them to beat the Vikings. The Vikings didn't look good.
I'm here to sour Vikings fan here.
It's the truth. Okay, so we had a fumble at the 4-yard line by Dalvin Cook on a pass play that he was supposed to throw the ball because we'll talk about, we can talk about another time, but O'Connell got out coached, right? So we have a fumble at our own at the Lions 4. Right. We had a converted 4th and 10 that they had a fake punt on. And then they, clutched the game or sealed the game with a pass to Penei Sewell. Like, you got to
rob Justin Jefferson of a touchdown. And
they robbed exactly. And the refs got a touchdown call incorrectly. I'm just like, all those things had to go right. They won the game, all good. It is what it is at home. The Jets are just way better. I mean, I got to see them firsthand, right? The Vikings just played the Jets. Then they played the Lions. The Jets, to me, were a far better team across the board. Defense, obviously way better. Offense, I think the Jets have a better offense if Mike White's playing. Dead serious. And that could be a little, I don't know, maybe not better because their running back position's a little light compared to the Lions and kind of some of the weapons they have. But yeah, give me the Jets all day. I think I'll probably ladder this play somewhere. I like money line, especially as a pick 'em. I would say maybe just stick with the Jets money line. Don't get too cute with it, and just kind of ride it from there. I just think the Jets are a better team.
Yeah, and I'm with you right now. And honestly, I'm going to probably get money line while I can at plus value. I think this turns into what happened with the Lions Jags game, where the Jags opened up -1, and then by the time we got to Sunday, it was like Lions 1.5. I think the same thing ends up happening here. I bet the Jets are favored by the time we get to kick on Sunday. But Mason, let me hear what you think about this matchup.
Yeah, I'm also on the Jets. I think, but I will say I think the Lions offense is much better than the Jets offense. That's my opinion. You're adding now Jameson Williams. You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a demon. You got that two-headed backfield in the running back duo is I can't remember his name, Swift and whatever his name is, the one that keeps robbing me of points. Yeah, that guy. But yeah, I'm also on the
big leader in tutties.
Yeah, exactly. I just think the Jets defense is going to carry them again. But like JT said, if Mike White is in, I'm definitely on the Jets. If we see a Joe Flacco or a Zach Wilson, I might have to lean the other way, but it looks like Mike White should be good to go. But again, I just think that defense might expose Jared Goff a little bit this week. We saw the Vikings struggle a little bit against the Jets last week. Or not the Jets, sorry. When they played the Jets. So I don't know. I'm just on the Jets this week. That's my play. So.
Yeah, no, and I'm right there with y'all. I mean, especially if Mike White's playing. Like, can we talk about how much that dude faced last week? Oh my God. Like all the stories they wrote about, like him having to leave the game, get checked on, he finishes the game, then goes back to hospital afterwards. That dude's a warrior. I've already been a big Mike White guy, and that guy. At this point, I'm just gonna get Mike White. I'm gonna get like a fake a jersey tattooed to my back or something like that. That dude's a stud. So I kind of hit on this a little bit already, but when you look at the strength on strength battle, that's gonna be great. Lions offense versus Jets defense. When you look at like the weaker side of the ball here, the Jets offense compared to the Lions defense, not close. I'm sorry, it's just not close. And like the Lions defense have made steps in the right direction, but I think against, a Shanahan disciple-esque run game in specific where the Lions are 10th worst in the NFL and PFF run defense grade, I think that's a problem. And you know what? Like Michael Carter II may not be a great back, but he's solid. And Bam Knight, they got something there. That dude can run, I think, in my opinion. I kind of like him, especially as an undrafted player. He's solid. But hey, that speaks to why maybe you should draft a running back in the second round, especially after trading up for him. But hey, what do I know? So I'm with you on the Jets and at home, right? And also like the Lions are coming off a win, the Jets are coming off an emotional loss against a division foe. Like this feels like a spot for them at home to get back on track. So narratively, I think it makes sense. X's and O's wise, I think it makes sense. Garrett Wilson props have got to be a must. I mean, I don't know how many Lions games I can watch without betting wide receiver props and regret it, except for Justin Jefferson. I did bet some Justin Jefferson props this week, but yeah, Garrett Wilson's got to be the move when it comes to my bet slip. So sounds like we're all in New York here.
The Jets have also lost 2 in a row, so I don't see them losing.
Oh, yeah. So and also they lost on Sunday. The Chargers win, so the Chargers become the 7 and boot the Jets out. So this. I mean, the Lions have playoff hopes for sure, but this is a game the Jets have to win if they're going to stay in the playoff mix over the next 4 weeks. So yeah, I think this is a game they kind of have to have. But it'll be interesting to see. Hey. Dan Campbell coached a pretty good game last week. JT even talking about it. Him versus Robert Saleh. Higher than the
he didn't. Apparently, he didn't even know that they ran that play.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even know they were going to throw it to Sewell. Well, there's a whole I think somebody asked him.
It just proves your point even more. Yeah.
Yeah. What a demon. What an absolute stud. Hey, there's a reason Ben Johnson's getting head coaching buzz, right? So, anyways, that would be a fun one. Now moving on, Sunday Night Football. No, not Sunday Night Football. Sorry. We're not going to talk Monday Night Football. Sorry, Rams and Packers fans. 4:00 game, Titans Chargers. Yeah, wow. I wish I checked the spread before that Sunday night game or before Sunday started, honestly. Because if we're talking Titans before their Jags loss and the Chargers before their win against Miami, I feel like Tennessee's probably favored in that. But yeah, Titans coming off an ugly loss against the Jags, and the Chargers are feeling like a whole new team. JT, let me start with you because we even kind of touched on this last week. Dude, when this offense has Mike Williams in it, it just looks and feels different. I think we saw that on Sunday.
Yeah, it's insane. I still don't like when I have Mike Williams, if I put him in a bubble or if I take just his film and kind of watch him run routes, make catches, whatever, you're like, okay, yeah, he's good. Maybe top half of the league or something like that. Or top half even in wide receiver ones if you want to go to that route. But when you put him in the offense, it's insane. It just opens up the entire offense. The whole offense looks good. Keenan Allen is able to get a lot more of his work done in the underneath game. I saw him a lot more open than I've seen him in the past games. When Mike Williams isn't out there, all the attention's on Keenan Allen and it shows. But having him out there, giving Keenan Allen the one-on-ones, you basically are taking your best route runner and giving him one-on-one matchups, and he's winning a lot of them. Justin Herbert's obviously over his bruise injury. He seems to be his bruised rib. He seems to be pretty much full back, back to full health. Titans really still don't have a lot of weapons on offense. Did Burks play last week? I don't think he did.
Yeah, I don't think he did either.
Right. So, I mean, that's something to keep an eye on. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, it's Derrick Henry. That's it. I mean, realistically on their offense. So to me, it's just like, look at the two offenses. Both the Titans defense has been decent, but it's kind of still wishy-washy. The Chargers, they played outstanding on defense. I don't know if that was just a scheme difference, but their DBs were all hitting like prime time, safeties out there. Like even the corners were hitting like safeties and wrapping up. Like they looked really good on defense against the Dolphins. So it's kind of, I don't know. The Chargers are trending up. The Titans are trending down. 3 points isn't a ton. It's just a matter of, do you think the Chargers keep it up? I think they do. I kind of like them at 3 points. I think that's plenty because at least you get the push if they only win by 3. So I think I lean Chargers here, even with the 3 points taken away from them.
So to answer your question about Burks, he did not play against Jacksonville. So he made
that
touchdown
to monitor, but
he made that touchdown grab against Philly, and he hasn't played since. So definitely one to monitor. And actually, I totally agree with you. I like the Chargers at 2.5, but it was at -120, and I was like, it's going to get to -3. And now it's at +100. So let me get that value, and push comes to shove at the push. Literally, push comes to, no pun intended. Either I get my money back or I get plus money on it. So I think at -3 right now, it's the time to jump on it. Granted, we are recording this on Tuesday, so things are definitely subject to change by the time you're hearing this on Thursday. But basically, what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I'll be quick. I'm not too sure about the Titans. All I know is really they only got Derrick Henry. And like we talked about, he fumbled twice last week. 2 turnovers. And the Titans have really struggled with, keeping possession of the ball, and they just keep continuing to turn the ball over. So I think that's something to monitor. They're always, letting the other team get the ball. So I definitely like the Chargers here. With it being at +100, -3, I like that even more. I think at home, I think they take care of business. They have to keep winning. Titans also have to keep winning, but I think I like the Chargers a little bit more, like you guys talked about with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen.
I mean, it's crazy the world we live in, right? Like the Titans, it's their division's so bad they can afford to lose this game. Right. The Chargers in the wild card hunt are battling the Jets for the 7th seed. The game we just talked about is a must win for New York, and this game is kind of a must win for LA. So it's kind of wild there. But no, and I'm with y'all. And actually, I want to go back to something JT talked about, the run defense for the Chargers against Miami. Now, granted, I don't think Miami's interior offensive line. I think that's part of the issue, right? They're not able to get any push up the middle. But dude, that's as good as the Chargers have looked stopping the run in the Brandon Staley era, like point blank and simple. So now, can they double down on that? If you stop Derrick Henry, which 2 fumbles last week, middling returns the last couple of games, and I don't think that interior offensive line is all that great, but still, there's something to be said about a statement game against Derrick Henry. If you slow him down, that changes your perception. So I'm with y'all. I like the value for one. This team stays at home, but yeah, I like the Chargers here. But ultimately, I think this comes down to Derrick Henry takes over, and the Chargers can't stop the run, or on the other side, the Titans secondary gets exposed. And I mean, the Jags and Trevor Lawrence just kind of did that to him. So I like Lawrence. I like Christian Kirk and all that stuff. But I'll take Herbert, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen and crew. It's just a more explosive unit. So I like Mike Williams props. I mean, I'm still having flashbacks of T. Higgins just mossing every Tennessee Titan that tried to slow him down when they played 2-3 weeks ago. But actually, one last note, as you were talking about, JT, Keenan Allen just feels so much more open. We actually even talked about that last week. When you add Mike Williams, and he's like that one guy that will work vertically. He will be that clear out guy, and they'll force secondaries to play him on it. So it feels like Keenan Allen on the underneath stuff, it just feels unfair. He's got too much space to work with. So potentially a fun game. And we're all in the Chargers here, which, it feels like anytime it's a lopsided, pick 'em moment. So, cash your Tennessee tickets right now. Yeah, we could be proven wrong. I don't know. The NFL, it's unpredictable. But anyways, let's leave this one. Last game we're going to talk about is actually one I'm going to be at. So I'm really excited to see this one. Sorry, again, no Monday Night Football. Sorry, Rams and Packers fans, but that game's kind of irrelevant at this point. We got the Giants and the Commanders. I mean, we're talking about two teams fighting for the 17th AFC. This game may dictate who the 17th in the NFC is. And then, of course, you have to factor in Seattle's still live in the mix and in the conversation as well. So Yeah, Commanders favored by 4. It's kind of a lot to lay at home. I don't love that number, but I think I'm going to go Washington. Mason, let me hear your thoughts on this one.
They just played, didn't they?
2 weeks ago, yep. It was Washington playing the Giants the bye week, and then Washington, but the Giants played last week.
So. Okay. Interesting. So I think I would also lean commies, but I also think this is a game where
the Manders.
Commanders. Yeah. Same. But I
Let's
also
do
think
it
this is
in the comments. You call them the commies. That'd be great.
Yeah. I think this would be I could also see a game where this is, the Giants, they take care of business for whatever reason. Like, it's not going to make sense. They're due for a win. They started the season 6-1, I believe. They've dropped 4 or 5, whatever it is. But
yeah, they've
I don't know. I think it could be a sneaky Giants W, but I think I would lean Commanders.
I mean, anytime you get these division games, they're weird. I mean, that's just going to be a given. JT, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, tied 2 weeks ago, kind of interesting. To me, of the 4 teams that are kind of in the NFC playoff race, or the wild card race, if you want to call it that, you got the Commanders, the Giants, the Lions, and the Seahawks are all kind of vying for that last spot, or the 2 last spots, really. I think the Commanders are the best of those 4 teams, in my opinion. It's them and the Lions, probably, for me, just because the Lions' offense is pretty explosive. The Commanders, though, to me, have a top 5 defense in the league. I don't think it's necessarily that close. I don't know if Benjamin St-Juste is back for this game, but I don't know that it matters because the Giants don't have receivers. And my argument for the Commanders kind of being that top tier of those 4 teams, with St-Juste healthy, they're legit. I mean, I think they're one of the better. You could make an argument they're right behind the 49ers as the second best defense in the league. So I do worry about Taylor Heineke turning the ball over a bit here. That's the only thing. I don't think I would bet it. So at 4.5, I don't like that number. I think these teams are close in general, just because of the limitations on offense from both sides and the pretty decent defense on the Giants and the really good defense on the Commanders. I just trust, ironically, Daniel Jones to not turn the ball over as much as Heineke.
Whoa,
I know
what world do we live in?
I'm just saying, dude, I really do, because I think the problem with Taylor Heineke is he throws YOLO balls after YOLO ball after YOLO ball. Like, it's insane.
Sure.
Daniel Jones has always had a fumbling issue. He seems to be a little bit better about that. So I trust him a little bit more with the ball. I don't know, though. I still wouldn't play it, because I could see the Commanders just shutting down the Giants for the entire game. The Giants don't score more than 10. So I think I'd just stay away from it from a betting perspective. I think it's going to be kind of a slow game that's not going to have a lot of scoring. I think 40 is about right for the over-under.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe the way you play this game, I have a couple of different ideas. I think this is just like the first game, the Seattle and 49ers game we talked about. I'd probably go SGP. I'd go same game parlay, take my Washington money line, and then Terry McLaurin receiving yards prop or something thereabout. These 2 teams tied 2 weeks ago. Week 2 last year, Thursday Night Football, Washington had this game-winning drive and they won by a field goal. So the other route maybe is you tease the total up, hit under, and then Giants out to 10.5. I mean, I don't think Washington's in a position to beat people by 11.
Yeah,
I mean, that feels a little far-fetched to me, despite me being excited to be at that game and whatnot. So, no, I'm with y'all. Also, I do want to find an update on St-Juste. He's not on the injury report, and Ron Rivera today said he's trending in the right direction, as is Chase Young. And that's the biggest reason why I think Washington wins this game, with or without Chase Young, but especially with him. That pass rush against the Giants offensive line, outside of Andrew Thomas, that unit is just not playing good. So Daniel Jones may unfortunately make some bad decisions for you this week, JT. I think he's going to be under a lot of duress, and I think that leads to fumbles, forced throws. And on the other side, I know I've been pretty critical of Taylor Heineke. He's not good. He's just not good. No. I take Mike White over him. I take Cooper Rush over him any day of the week. Yeah. But that being said, they've been able to manage enough offensive production. Terry McLaurin, those running backs, Brian Robinson's gotten better week over week. So I think there's enough offense in store for Washington. And then I look at the Giants. No wide receivers. Washington's been pretty good against the run. And that pass rush, I don't know. That feels rough. Now, granted, that 10.5, I still feel is doable, which is interesting, right? Because we talk about these divisional splits, right? What happens when the first game's a tie? What the hell? What are the rules then? Do you get another one, or who gets the bounce back? So I don't know. It's weird. But actually, JT, you kind of bring up a good conversation there. These final wild card spots. We'll probably make this our rhythm throws for next week. This is a good idea. But the way I have them power ranked in my latest power rankings, go back and check that out if you missed it. I have Seattle as the highest of those 4 teams. Then it's the Lions, Giants, Commanders. which is interesting because my prediction, if you were to ask me, my prediction, I tell you Seattle's going to be the 6 and Washington's going to be the 7. That would be my prediction. But let me hear y'all's thoughts. Who do you guys got in that 6-7 spot?
Go ahead, JT.
You like the Seahawks more than I do, so that's understandable.
Well, also their record, they are starting from the cleanest ground of those 4 teams, in my opinion. The Lions have had to get hot. Washington's had to get hot.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the Commanders have a little bit of a tough path. I believe they played the Cowboys.
Yep.
And I think the Packers, who could sneak one on them if Aaron Rodgers is still playing for some reason. So the Commanders have a little bit of a tough schedule ahead. The Lions basically have to win out. So I kind of see where you're coming from with Seattle. I don't know, kind of sneaking their way in. So I don't know. I just think, to me, the Commanders are the best team other than the Lions, maybe.
Of those 4 teams, of the 4 teams, them and the Lions are definitely playing the best right now, without question. Because Seattle and the Giants have really cooled off. It's the Lions and the Commanders that are the hottest. Mason, what do you think?
That's what I was getting ready to say. Like, today I would go Lions, Washington, Seattle, and the Giants.
Yeah. If we're talking about how they're playing right now, that would definitely be
right.
Yeah.
So I think it was just smoke and mirrors, like Seattle and like the records now feel like what I thought they were going to kind of.
We're getting there, right? The sample has gotten big enough to where it's like, okay, now it makes sense. We're in the right position. Yeah. So no, I'm totally with y'all there. One last thing about this game. The one reason I'm kind of worried, I think the Giants might get a win, Mason. Like you're saying, that this game could be weird.
Right.
The Giants just got obliterated at home, and the Commanders are coming off a bye. I think Ron Rivera is a good coach, but maybe that extra week in between matchups, they're feeling a little too good. Maybe overlooking New York a little bit, and they just got their ass handed to them. So maybe the Giants come out swinging on national television. Maybe. I've seen weird things happen, like Tua Tagovailoa going 3 of 17 on Sunday Night Football to start, just by having an offense in the league. So whatever. Yeah. So anyways, that's going to do it for our 5-game preview. This is now taking us into our locks of the week. This is when we get back to our viewers. So appreciate everybody watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Now we're going to pay y'all back and give us our favorite plays from this week. We can do this in 2 minutes. I'll go ahead and kick us off. The clock is now rolling. My lock for this week is a juicy one. I'm going with a 3-team money line parlay. I'm taking a page out of Mason's playbook here. Give me the Vikings, give me the Chiefs, and give me the Eagles. Money line, that comes out to plus 106. And I have an honorable mention play I'll give out later. JT, let me hear yours.
Yeah, similar. I'm taking, it's going to be a 2-teamer, not 3. It's going to be the Vikings money line and the Cowboys money line. Parlay to plus 113. You got the Vikings at home off a loss versus the Colts. And then you have the Cowboys on the road after almost getting one snuck by them. And they're playing the Jags coming off a high. So I think it's kind of a get-right game for both squads there.
Yeah, that Dallas-Jacksonville game will be an interesting one. And that's a good call because I almost recommended Washington and Dallas 2-team parlay. But it was actually worse odds than that. And I feel better about Dallas and Minnesota than I do Dallas and Washington. So I like that play. Mason, what you got?
I got a 2-teamer as well. I'm going Vikings, and then Jets over the Lions.
Okay. What's it come out to?
I like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Plus 178.
I had to test. I figured it started with a plus to a minus, but
that's a good point. Plus 178 for that is wild.
Yeah, I just don't think the Jets drop.
I
just don't think the Jets drop 3 in a row. So
we were even talking pre-recording as we finished in about 50 seconds, plenty of time. So we actually probably left too much time on the clock there. The opposing team's going to come back and pull a Patrick Mahomes on us. But, I think the Lions are really sharp this week, which are really tough. And we're getting into those second meeting of divisional teams. So I'm kind of hesitant on some totals. I think moneyline parlays are all hot. I'm going to play JT's. I'm definitely going to be playing Mason's. And obviously I'm going to play mine. So I think that's the route. Here's one more honorable mention I want to toss out here. 4-team moneyline parlay. Vikes, Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs. That comes out to plus 250. You get the Chiefs against the Texans. You get the Cowboys against the Jags. You get the Commanders against the Giants. That one could be a potential sweat. And then you got the Vikings coming off the loss, taking on Indianapolis. So I like that play a ton. Any other plays you guys want to toss out?
Yeah, the money line plays on favorites might just be hot to parlay them together. Just take like you said, we got the large sample size. We know which teams are good at this point. And just trust them to kind of get the job done, closing out the season.
No doubt. I think some other plays I've already bet Cincinnati minus 3.5 against Tampa Bay. I know it's beyond the field goal hook, but did you watch Tampa Bay try to play football last week?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just not touching that game, dude.
That feels get
out of here. Y'all wildin'. And then I like
I've
the
seen
Chargers
too many
-3.
headlines. I've just seen too many headlines of Tom Brady against young quarterback that's up and coming, and wins off of a play that he drew up on his finger. I don't know the play. I don't know, dude. It's just always something goes some way where Brady ends up winning games that he shouldn't, and this feels like one of those games.
The way I see it, Tom Brady ain't slowing down Jamar Chase, and Carlton Davis has had a down year. Sean Murphy, Bunting, Jamelty, it's all been kind of rough in that secondary.
Them zebras might though. That's what I'm saying. Got to be careful for the zebras out there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. They cost me so much money on that Justin Jefferson touchdown that I'm still salty thinking about it, but not bad, not bad. Mason, any other plays you want to toss out?
I saw one. Let me know what you think, TJ. The Steelers at +120 against the
money line.
Yeah,
Steelers money line. I love this week.
That's kind of spicy.
If Kenny's playing, I'll roll with it. If Kenny's playing,
I like it either way.
About Kenny. Damn,
I like it. I think if he's ruled out and it moves a little, I'm even more on it.
Yeah,
if you can get it.
That could be spicy. That could be spicy. Well, those are just some of our plays. Love to have yours commented down below. Let us know some of your favorite plays. Who knows? I might tail them if I'm smart. So let me hear your thoughts. But thanks again, everybody, for tuning in for another episode of the Hurry Up Offense. For JT, for Mason, my name's TJ. And until next week, we are signing off.